Yeah, we are live. Great. Let everyone join. Then we'll start with the Android study jams. We'll wait for 2 more minutes to let everyone join in. Then we'll start. We'll be starting in a minute. Okay, so let's start. Guys, welcome to Android Study Jams session 2. So, what is Android Study Jams? So, as you have attended the last session, you'll probably know what Android Study Jams is. So, I'll explain it. I'll tell you again what Android Study Jams is. Basically, Android Study Jams is a series of sessions which are conducted by Google communities like all over the world. In this series of Android Study Jams, we learn all the basics of Android development and from the GDSC members all around the world. Okay, so let's begin our session by setting up our Google profile. So there will be a link in chat which will lead to the path of all the coursework of Android Study Jams. So the link will be in the chat. You can see there are a lot of learning pathways. If you go to g uh, g g.co g.co google/android, yeah, that, no, android slash basics link, yeah, so /android/basics. So there you'll find the like whatever the course material of Android Study Jams 3. Okay. Also, you can earn badges by completing this coursework of Android Study Jams. You can also make your own developer profile. You can type developer Google and see there are number of sessions or like number of Android basics you can learn on the this developer.android.com. Also, you can make your own Google developer profile and can earn badges if you attend this if you attend Android Study Jams. My profile is loading in a minute. Yeah. So you can see here's my Google profile. have like number of badges. Okay, so now let's continue with the session. Okay, so let's get started. So, as we were attended the last session, we have like these were the session prerequisite. You should have Android Studio. If you don't have Android Studio, you can download it from developer.android.com. If your laptop is not able to run an emulator, you can use a USB cable, and you can use your mobile phone with developer mode on your phone. And as now you should know the like what basic programming is. Okay, so for the last session, we have covered basics of Kotlin. We have built our first Android app, which was a birthday card theme app. We have made the Dice Roller app. We also learned how to like interact with the UI and the states in Compose. Okay, I already told you what Compose is, what composition means, what recomposition means. Okay, so in this session, we'll be like advancing with Jetpack Compose. We'll be learning theming and animation, like, and we'll be making an app. Woof, you can like by name you can understand it will be an app like which will have animals, or you can specifically dog in it. So we'll be learning Jetpack Compose. Also, we'll see activity lifecycle of an app, and we'll also go through the architecture of the app. We'll also like learn navigation in like using Compose and make a cupcake app. At last, we'll see the like how what is the concept of coroutines in async programming. That will help in our like future sessions for like getting data from the API calls and stuff. So this is like I have a surprise for all of you. We have a guest speaker in this session. So I let's call our guest speaker. So welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Johan Varghese, which is an like professional app developer. He is an SDE in a company. So he'll be here in any minute. Yeah, he's here with us. Okay. Hi, Jeevan.
Hi, Dev. Thank you for the
How are
intro.
you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What about you?
Great, great, great.
Cool, cool. So, how was your first session as ASA facilitator?
Great, great. I covered all the basics, and yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
it was awesome. Today I'll be looking forward to like teach people like more advanced stuff like architecture and Android activity like activity or activity life cycle. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great, great. So, hi everyone. Thank you for inviting me. So, I'm Jeevan, and I'm really glad to be back to Android Study Jams. So, I've been through Android Study Jams in different roles. So, I've always told us like I started learning Kotlin through Android Study Jams as a participant in my first semester. So yeah, then next year I was facilitator for Android Study Jams, and now back again as a guest speaker. It feels really amazing, and I've always enjoyed the journey with GDSC VIT. And actually, it's a very good platform, to get started with Android development if you haven't started yet. So there was also Flutter festivals happening last year, so I was there for that as well. So all these are like great opportunities to get your hands wet with the tech that you always wanted to learn. So yeah, about the session today, I hope like you told what all are you going to cover today in the topics. So it's actually great to have an idea of what exactly is happening in the Android ecosystem right now. So yeah, all the best for your session. So I think we can chat a little bit about whatever you want to know.
yeah. So I had like few questions from you. Like you are here for my first Android study jam. So yeah, I had prepared few questions for you. Like I'll be like
Definitely,
glad if
definitely.
you answer them. Okay.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
had
Go
one
ahead, go
question.
ahead.
I was a Flutter developer. I had learned Flutter in the beginning. I have recently like
Mm-hmm.
started with Android development. So what
Mm-hmm.
like initially starting with Android development is stuff. There are a lot of like stuff that we don't have in Flutter, or we don't have like much deep in Flutter. But when we come to Android,
Mm-hmm.
so we have like huge number of stuff to cover. So like, what advice can you give to a developer who is shifting from like to native development from the all-round development we do in Flutter?
Yeah. So in my case, the journey was actually opposite. So I started with Android native and then, migrated to Flutter. So one thing I can say is app development is more of a mindset. So you think like an app dev, you solve a problem or approach a problem like an app developer. So that's important if you ask me. So whichever platform that you are, let it be Android native, iOS native, cross-platform, whatever. If you have that mindset, then half of the work is done. So it's very good. Like if you already have knowledge in any of the platforms, let's say Flutter or Android, anywhere if you have a basic idea of app dev, how it is happening, it's actually helpful because you're not starting from zero, right? You have some idea how an app works, so how a user would be approaching the app and stuff like that. So it's actually helpful to get started either way. So there are a few differences, of course, in Flutter and Android native. For example, activity lifecycle management. So I guess you will be covering that today, right? So that is actually a little bit different in Android and Flutter. So, for example, you have on create, on resume, etc. As callback functions in Android, right? You don't have that kind of stuff in Flutter. So those are little areas of difference that we have. But since we have Jetpack Compose right now, so when I actually started Android development, it was only Java. Then later came Kotlin. Then architectures and all changed. Now we have Jetpack Compose. So Jetpack Compose and Flutter both are declarative paradigm. So that will be helpful when you're approaching. Then one thing that would be a challenge when you start as a Flutter dev and uh, going into native development will be some of the concepts, especially Flutter concepts, are not directly transferable to any other platforms, right? So it's not exactly a hindrance to get started with Android, but as I said, your knowledge in any of the app development platforms is actually helpful. Get started with any other one, so you don't have to start from scratch. So some things that I love in Flutter and I miss in Android is, for example, hot restart or hot reload. We don't have yet in Android, I guess, if I'm not wrong. So some of the things that I miss from Flutter is that. Then also like there is Jetpack Compose multi-platform coming. So it's actually a very good leap in my opinion. So if when you get started with Android development, you have a lot of potential right now. It's not like you're learning only for Android. You have scope for multi-platform as well. Unlike Flutter, it's not like write once and run everywhere kind of stuff in multi-platform, like Jetpack Compose multi-platform. It is more of customizable for each native platforms. For example, when you're entering a button, it renders differently in Android and differently in iOS. It gives sort of a native, just for a simple example,
Yeah,
gives
native
you
feel. Yeah.
native field. Yeah. So it's actually a great time. So I hear there's a lot of time like which one has more scope? Is it Flutter or is it Android? Which one should I learn? It's not like that. Both has its own plus sides. Android native is not outdated, or any native development is not outdated. It is very relevant, even in the industry, because of course Android has a very big user base, and utilizing your native features in Android or iOS, you definitely need knowledge in native. So I would always recommend having a good, basic understanding of how a native platform works. If whenever you're an app developer, even if you're a Flutter developer or any other cross-platform developer, I would really suggest to have a very good, good knowledge in any of the native development, so that you know how it works internally, how it is rendered, how it is optimized, and things like that. You get more control over the platform. So that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jeevan, for your like awesome insight. I didn't knew about the new Jetpack Compose. You told me it's coming like for
Hmm.
all the platforms. Also, I have like
Yeah.
one more question. So the other
Sure,
question
sure.
is, ki, when like entering industry, so what sort of skills or qualities employers look for, like basically for app developers? So can you give some insight?
Hmm.
You're already an SDE in a company working as a
Hmm.
like Android developer, like software developer. So like what sort of
Hmm.
qualities and skills basically they look in an app developer?
Yeah. I'm not working as a mobile app developer as of now. I'm a SD intern at in a different field. Not exactly app development, but in terms of app development as a career path, as I said, I have always seen this question like which one should I pursue? Should it be Flutter or should it be Android? Both, as I said, both has its own capabilities and opportunities. See, the skills essential for an app developer is not exactly platform specific. You have, as I said, you have to have that mindset. Like you should enjoy problem solving. You should definitely have attention to detail. So you have a very limited space in a mobile, right? And that's where you decide which option should have more hierarchy, which option is most important for the user, which is the next important one. So deciding on that and stuff like that and making decisions like that uh, largely affects your business. A position of an item in a list or in a shopping cart that you have will definitely affect your business, right? It all has a lot of impact on the business decisions that you take. It's very important to have prioritize think from a user's perspective how this will affect a user's mindset and things like that. It's very important to have that thing. So if you are looking forward for a career in app development, I would definitely suggest to have a good set of projects that you have. So in my case, I said, right, I started Flutter. I didn't do any courses as such for Flutter. I straight away started like from I read a few basic articles and stuff and watched a few basic videos on YouTube, and then I started working on project. So it was a very helpful journey. So I have always believed in learning through doing stuff. When I started doing the project, I had a lot of doubts. I searched online. I asked my seniors in GDSC itself. That's how I learned Flutter from scratch. That's why I'm suggesting learn by doing. Don't wait to learn the entire platform on one go and then start doing projects. It's not like that. Learn basics, start doing projects, start doing simple projects, and gradually move forward. So one important thing when you're doing projects is try to do different projects. As in what I'm telling is try to include different technologies or different something new in what whenever you are making a new app. For example, in one app you're experimenting a new architecture or you're following a new code practice. Mention that, document that, whatever you're doing. So if you're putting on GitHub, prepare a good README and tell what all things that you did. And next time when you're doing, let's say you're using a webhook or something of that sort, the number of downloads or the number of users is not only the thing that matters. If you ask me, forget about the number of installs or downloads. Even if you don't have it published, it's fine. If your project is good enough, if you learn something new from a project that you're doing, that's important. So always try to include new stuffs in the app. Always try to have stuff that you haven't tried before in your apps that you're doing. Then you'll have a good portfolio. Then when you're applying to a company or then when they are looking at your resume, they know that you have done a lot of different stuffs. You have experimented things and you have learned new things. So that's the suggestion I have for people who are looking forward as app dev in their career path. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeevan. Your insights were very helpful. I'm glad that you came to my Android Study Jam session. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you once
Hope
again.
you to meet. Yeah, hope you to meet you again. Okay.
Definitely. I'll always be
Yeah,
here around. Just you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me. All the best for your session.
Thank you, Jeevan. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys. So this was Jeevan Johan Varghese. So now, okay, let's continue. So I dropped a bomb, or you can say a surprise, in the beginning of the session itself. Now, okay, let's continue the session. I'll remind you the session objectives again. So the session objectives are, material theming and animation, architecture and activity of life cycle, and navigation using Compose, and also we'll go through the concept of coroutines and async programming in Kotlin and Android. Okay, so let's start with the first our first agenda of the session. That is, let's learn theming and animation with Jetpack Compose. Last time we did a bit of a Jetpack Compose. We learned what a compose was. We saw how to manage UI states. This time we'll be like making an app, basically a woof app. You could say an app that has like data of dogs. Okay, so let's start with this app. Okay, so on the chat you'll get a link of like a GitHub link, which will like I'll tell you. Let me set the project. Start my Android Studio. Okay, so yeah, so there will be a link, GitHub link in the chat. By opening that link, you can clone that project. Basically, it will give you some starter code for them. Then, like, you can check out the starter branch. And let's continue and let's deep dive into the app itself. Okay. Okay, so we'll be as I said, this will make this app fully like let my Android Studio open. We'll go to website will be in the chat, which is the Material Theme Builder site. You can go to the Material Theme Builder site and you can get your custom theme from over there. Okay, so we are at the Material Theme Building website site. Okay, so let's add our own custom theme for the site. We can simply click here and we can add our own colors. So I'll be basically using hash 006 uh, hash 006c 4c as a theme. When I click enter, so yeah, I got the theme of my app. So you can see this site has already generated your secondary, tertiary, and neutral themes for your app. You can see your like there are multiple colors. Like there is a primary color, there is a secondary color, and you can see the complete theme here. Okay, now we can export this theme using like here we can export this as Jetpack Compose theme.kt. You can click here, so it will get downloaded for you as a zip file, so you can like store it anywhere you like. You can like wherever your project is, you can keep that zip file there. We'll unzip it later. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys have downloaded your theme.kt file. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, now let's open our Android Studios. So yeah, so what we'll be doing is we'll replace the starter code, which is theme.pt we got through that material website. Okay, this that should look like that should look something like this. You can see how it should look. Let's get back to my studio. time. Okay, we'll continue. Okay, so yeah, we'll add this theme.kt file by replacing the theme.kt file in the resource folder. Okay, so now we'll be having like a proper new theme for your app. Uh, we'll be having a custom theme for our app. So okay, now you can see we have this. We'll be having this color scheme, which will be like this, which will be like built for our like Android Studio version greater than .s. Okay, so we'll also have a dark theme. Okay, now you can actually rerun your app in the preview section to get the insight, like how it looks after the new theme. So okay, okay. So let Android Studio start. I'll show you. Until then, we can see stuff here. Okay. Now we'll map the colors with our with our code. So basically we'll go to the dog item composable function, and we'll wrap this row of the dog item composable with a card composable. Okay. You can basically you can say we can add a card widget in Flutter terms. We call it as a widget. So we'll add card widget around this uh, row composable. Okay, now yeah, here we are. So let me show you. So in the resource folder, you can actually wait. In the theme folder, you can change this theme.kt file with the newly downloaded theme. So let me show you how like this theme file will look like. Okay, so okay, after this, okay, so here what we'll do is we'll wrap it around a card, and okay, so basically we'll get the cards around this plain row, which was like earlier like this. So now we'll get card looks some able to preview the app. Okay, so yeah, let me show you in code itself. So in the dog item, you can see I have like wrapped it around a card. There is a column also. We'll see why there is a column around the row also. Okay, so we'll wrap this row around a card. Now last time I have shown you we have something called resource folder, which has values of like strings. We can like instead of specifying strings like normally, which is a bad back practice in Android development. We can specify constant strings into strings.xml, so that it easy for like to like change the language of our app. Okay, we'll also have at this time we also have other files such as colors.xml and dimensions.xml. So using this we can actually like reuse all these hard coded dimensions in our app. Okay, so let me go to your main activity. This is the resource folder and how we are changing the dimension. So we'll go to this we can specify the dog item property. We'll in a modifier we can add padding, and you can see we can add dimension resource r.dimension padding.medium. It specifies the padding of the app. Let me in this composable show you how it looks. Okay, so after this adding the padding, we can continue. So after adding the padding, you'll see we'll be having a padding over each card component. So it will look something like this in the preview section. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, now we like basically users these days prefer dark mode. So what we can do is in the theme preview we can define a composable woof dark theme preview, and we can provide woof theme, and we'll provide provide a parameter dark theme is equal to true. So our app will be basically will build in a dark theme. So you'll see our app will build in a dark theme mode. Okay. So now you'll probably think ki if some other user wants to like build app in a light theme mode, so how we can actually have like a dynamic theme on our like for our app. So for that, what we'll do is uh let so what for that we what we'll do we'll we can see we'll be opening basically what we'll do is in the function woof composable woof theme we'll be specifying a property called dynamic color and set it to true. So by setting this property our app like now in general now a user can specify either like if it changes the device setting as dark or a light mode, the app will change accordingly. Okay, so now we have multiple themes like dynamic color theme for our app. But now, but for this course, we'll keep this dynamic color property as false because we need our app in dark mode. Okay, so I hope you are able to like catch up and like get key how we can do it. Okay, so this is how we give like custom theming, or you can say custom. We can add custom colors to our uh, app. Okay. Now let's move on, and now here we'll see how we can add shapes. Okay. So again, you can see we have a UI.theme resource package, and there we have theme.kt. Sorry, there we have shape.kt. Okay. So in the shapes.kt, we have a variable shapes which takes we have a variable shape which takes shapes. Inside that, we have defined two more parameters that are small and medium. So basically, and we have another class rounded corner shape. So inside that class, we are defining some small like shapes and like also a medium shape, which we are like for the corners. Basically, for the corner top, we are like for the bottom and the top, we are specifying 16.dp as the shape, or you can say the curve on our corners. Okay. So okay. Now you can see the preview. This is like advanced preview of the code. But okay. So you can see we have multiple properties here. You can this is the no shape over the edges, no rounded corners. Basically, that was a rounded corner class. So in providing 25 dp, we have rounded corners, and we can specify the specific dps for getting like these sort of cool shapes. Okay. So as you have seen, we have created a variable val shapes in the shapes class and provided small rounded corner shape like at first as a small rounded corner shape. So okay, now what you can do is we can go to the dog. Okay, so we can go to let's okay, so you can see we have this dog icon composable over here. We have provided shape dot in a like in a mod we modifier is the parameter which every composable function have. You can define different properties and like styles for your like composable. So we have dot clip function in which we have provided the like predefined shape from our uh, shape.kt file. Okay, we also have two we also have one more content scale. Like, now you can see if I remove this content scale property, or if I like make this as a comment and I'll rebuild the app, you can see the image will not be it's not will be in this like round shape. It will change its shape. So using this basically providing the material shape theme in the dot clip property and providing a scale, we can actually scale our images. Basically we are clipping the images inside that shape. Okay. Okay, now let's move on. We will see like Now, okay, this is how it looks, because all the shapes got clipped in that circle defined. Okay, so okay, now we can also add a shape to the card. So that's why we have defined a medium rounded corner border as the bottom of the border as 16 dp curve, and the end as 16 top end as again a 16 dp. So we can provide that, uh, we can use that in the card widget itself, where we have a card over here. So as you have seen, we have a card over here, and you can actually define that shape over this card to make it curved like this. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now we have seen how to add colors, how to add shape. Now let's see how to add fonts. So basically you can go to Google Fonts. You can go to Google Fonts, and you can download the fonts as Montserrat and Bold. Basically, if you go to Google Fonts, here you can search for Montserrat, and by clicking here, you can download family. So this, if you click here, this will get downloaded on your system. Also, you can also download another font, which is April Fat Face. So you can also download that font. Okay, which is April Fat Face. You can download this font. You can download the font family of this font. Yes. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, so after downloading the font, we can actually in this resource folder we'll create a subfolder. We'll go to resource, and we'll create a subfolder, or in this resource folder we'll go to new, and you can see we can create Android resource directory, and here we'll type font resource type. Yeah, we'll type font. So okay, we'll make a font directory, and what we'll do is, after creating this directory, you can actually unzip those both the font folders which we have downloaded from the Google Fonts itself. We'll be using Montserrat bold.tff and Montserrat regular, and we can actually put those fonts in the fonts folder like this. You can see there is an April fatface regular.tff. Also rename those fonts, they'll be renamed. They'll be having, there will be uppercase fonts separated by the hyphen. So you basically put underscores and rename those fonts like this. Okay. So after adding those fonts, you can continue. And okay, now we also, as you have seen in the UI theme, we also have a class known as type dot. We have also have a Kotlin class. We have a Kotlin file which is type.kt. So there we'll define these two fonts like this. We'll have val April fat face font family font, and you can reference the font using the R. R is the class which refers to this resource folder, and you can refer this font through this two variables. Okay, like see, we are defining this Montserrat variable, or using the class font family, and we are defining two fonts. Okay, now after adding these two fonts as in your app, then what you can do is you can define typography. Okay, so what a typography is? So basically, typography, you can understand there are like, you can say you have like multiple scaled text in your app. We have large text, we have medium text, we have large title, we have small title. So we can define multiple typographies. We have a display large, which will be using a font family, and which will be having a certain font weight and a certain font size. We'll be having a display medium, which is also the same, which will be having certain font family, and also similarly label small, and body large will be where we'll be using Montserrat, and for basically very large heading purposes, we'll be using Avril's fat face. Okay, so after doing that, we'll continue, and we'll go to our dog information function. Let's go to the dog information function. Dog information function. Basically, what we'll do is, you can see we have a dog name as a parameter and a dog age. Here you can clearly see in the preview we have dog name and a dog, dog age. So also we have a modifier. So what we'll do is, we'll provide there is a preview code, so we'll be having a column. Okay. So using style property of the text, we'll provide the typography as display medium, and the other typography as the body large. Body large is for the like, okay, body large is for the basically is dog's age, and the display medium is which is the title heading is for the uh, is for the dog name. Okay, so let's continue. So as after so this was something like before typography, and this will be your like this will be your preview after typography. So you can see we have covered typography. We have seen how we can like change the shape using using the custom defined shapes.kt, and defining custom rounded corners using custom rounded corner class. Okay, so let's move on now. Okay, now adding a top bar, you can clearly see in the app. Go to material. You can clearly see in the app we have a top bar over the app, which has an image and a heading as woof defined, which is the name of the app. Okay, the place where we have created this top bar app. Okay, top bar composable function. So we have a composable function which is actually using center aligned top bar. Center aligned top bar is simply a class which has a title as a parameter. So we are providing title within a row. We have a image, and we have another text which is actually using the display large typography of this font. As you have seen earlier, we are using April's fat face for this heading of the app. So okay, so we have an image and a text in a row which is defined in a app bar, and you can see this app bar is passed in the scaffold. Okay, so basically a scaffold you can consider is a layout of your UI elements. How your UI elements will be laid out, you can define it in a scaffold. Okay, so you can see we have a top bar over here. We also have a lazy column. Basically this lazy column is building all those dog items in a list. If you go to data class dog.kt, so you'll see we have a list of we have a list of like dog data. We have names, we have their ages, we have their eating habits. Okay, we also have their images. So basically what we are doing is we are using that data, and basically building a list using that data using the function using a like composable function lazy column. Okay, so you can see we have defined items. Item is a dog, and we have also a function dog item. So you can see the function dog item, how this function dog item looks like. Okay, so this is how we can define the app bar in this app. So after finishing this, your app, like if you build your app in the mobile, it should look something like this. So you can see how this app looks like. Okay. Now let's move on to like more like we have seen how we can theme this Woof app. Now we'll see how we can add animations to this app. So for this, if you're not able to catch up, so what you can do is uh, you can actually like using that same GitHub link, you can actually check out the material branch, which will be having starter code for the basically now animating the app. Okay, so as you have seen in my this animation, I already have this expanded bar like expanded icon button over here. So how this expanded icon button I have defined, I'll show you. So in the so wait, let me show you where is the icon button. Okay, so you can see we have defined a dog icon button in this basically a dog item list object. So let me show you. Okay, so this is the dog item button. So we have an icon button which have an on click property. We'll basically click it and we'll see the animation, how animation is going on. Okay, we also have a image vector over there, which is basically expand more and expand less. I'll explain to you that in a minute. And we also have a content description for that. Basically this content description is for each it's basically we have descriptions for various icons and images for like for the better accessibility of the app. We also have a tint, which is basically tint defines the applied vector, you can say, like how this icon looks like or the color of the app. So we have defined it as secondary. Okay, so this is how we create uh, an expanded icon. Okay, now what we'll do is, okay, now we'll try to like expand this icon. Like we'll add more more components about dog. We'll add an about us section for the dog. So coming back here to this basically there is an hobby for the dog. So using this dog hobby is also another function which has a column. Oh, we have two text about is static text defined in the strings.xml file, and we have a text object which is a dog hobby parameter passed to it. Okay, so you can see we have dog.hobbies as a parameter passed. We have a modifier which is actually start dimension. You can this These all are the padding we have defined earlier. See how we are using these padding over here using this dimension resource function. So okay, so we are expanding this basically each list object with like having a column, and we are defining an about constant string, and this hobby of the dog here. So after defining this, you can see we have called this dog hobby through the dog item, so that each dog item gets a dog hobby, its specific hobby defined in this dog.kt file. Okay, so let's see what we'll do forward to add the animation. Okay, so okay, now for the animating purposes, we need that button to go extendable and it like to restore its state. So as you have seen, we have used something called I'll show you. We have used something called val expanded remember mutable state. So basically, what this does is, I had explained it earlier also in the last session itself. We can actually remember the state of the remember the UI state of the using of this expanded variable using the basically remember is also, you can say, you can call it as uh, a class which is extending the like a composable class which is extending the property of this variable expanded. So it will remember the state of the like variable expanded. So okay, So we are defining it as a false initially. So well, this card will not show anything initially. Okay. After that, okay, we are like enclosing this dog hobbies by if expanded. So if this is expanded, like if expanded is true, so you show the dog hobby, and if it's false, don't show the dog hobby. So this is how we define basically the logic of expansion and expansion and the contraction of this expander. You can clearly see through the preview how we are doing this. Okay. After writing this much code, you can use start interactive mode in like of the preview itself, and you can play with this expanded button. You can see how this works. Okay. So let's continue. Now we'll move to adding animations over our Okay, sorry guys, internet issues on my side. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible to you. Okay, so we are. So what we are doing is, I told you I'll open the PPT. Let's go to the activity life cycle page. There we are. Let it load. Let's move on. I already told you why, like, what is the importance of life cycle of an app? Why, like, what is the importance of an activity? Basically, when you move to a screen, so if you rotate a device, so like with our app activity changes. So as a developer, we should know at like what state our app is on. Like, is it on, like, is it resuming? Is it on the creation stage? Is it on the initialization state, etc.? So that's why we have concept of activity lifecycle in Android, which is activity gets launched, then we have on create function, app is running, is the app shut down. So as a developer we can perform multiple functions when our app is basically on any stage it is. Okay, so as you see, we have we have activity life cycle. You can see through diagram, we have activity launched, on create, on start. I'll be like giving you like how this basically works. I'll be giving you some practical of it. You can see what does our function on create does. Basically, it initializes an activity. What does on start does? It basically gets like this function like basically calls itself when the activity is like visible to the user. And on resume, it like when the end user is actually interacting with the app. So okay, let's go back to the Android Studio. I have like plugged in my phone. Okay, uh, will Android Studio detect it? So I've plugged my phone. Now you can see Android Studio has detected my phone. Okay. Now I'll open that Cupcake app, which with the okay. Now you can see they have wait. So this app is a desert clicker app. Yeah. So I had opened this desert clicker app. Now you can see as I had like launched the desert clicker app, what happened is the on create wait, yeah. So as I launched the Desert Clicker app, it created an on create function. It called called on create function, which you can say, which is like you have to override this function to basically get your basics UI setup on your app. Okay. Then it automatically called on start function, which is here. You can see we are logging this information using log.d, and you can see it automatically like calls this function on start and also on resume. As I told you through the PPT, the on create function calls itself when app is initialized. On start is called when the app is like visible to the user. On resume is called when the like user focuses on the app or do some activity in the app. Okay, so okay, now you can see we now I have like touched the screens multiple times, so that's why it is giving me more logs of the app. Okay, now let's see how this on pause, on resume, and on stop works. If I change the like, you can see I have now like you can't see actually. Okay, so now what I have done is I have like basically not removed my app completely, but put it in a background. So you can see it has called the on pause and the on stop function itself. So so you can understand as a developer, when you're developing an app, you like sometimes there is a need to do some task when your app is like in the background state or in the foreground state. So now you can see the app is completely in the background in the foreground state. Now if I'll go back to the app, it will again called on restart. So you can see when on restart is called, basically there is no on restart over here. Okay, so on restart is a function which is called when your app like regains the, you can say, regains the like attention of the user. So we get on resume and on start uh, as the function called when we basically okay. Now when this function on destroy, or you can say the on destroy get calls, So if I like completely remove my app, so you can see this function, basically when our activity destroys, this function on destroy gets called. Okay, so now you have seen I have like I'm getting log data. So what using is I'm using a simple library which like Android provides, which is a logging logger. So using that logger library, you can like log the like status of your app. So here you can see I have defined this log.d. D means on debug mode. So using that, we are like defining the log data. And this log cat, like this is a very like very this cat over here in your Android Studio. Like this is the latest version of Android Studio, so you might see it over here or like you can look for log cat. So log cat has like multiple filter options through which you can filter like and like track the like status or the activity of your app. Okay, so this is what activity is in Android. Okay, so let's go back to our okay. So we have seen on like various stages how we are basically using our app. Okay, uh, there's one more interesting thing I wanna like show you. Let's okay. So let me open that app again. Desert Clicker app again. Now, what I'm doing is you can, if you have like clone the repository, you can clearly see there is a share button over there. So if I click a share button over there, so basically another screen comes, which is like it is basically a share button. So the normal the standard share screen on Android that will appear, and when that standard screen will appear, you can see our app calls the on pause function. So now if I like cross or like remove, so again it calls on resume. So you can see how this like activity on like an Android app works. So let's see. So as you have seen, we have like no sort of a like for now we did only basic stuff. We have like put an app in the background. We have terminated the app, so it ended the activity. We have launched an overlap UI object which was using a share button. So it had like it got paused, then it got resumed. Okay. Now what is like changing the configuration of the app? Okay. So I told you like on destroy calls itself. So when does this on destroy calls itself? So in an app, if you switch the auto rotate mode, I'll go back to my uh, Android Logcat, and I'll like just turn off my auto rotate. Wait, it got disconnected. I'll reconnect. Okay. When I just a second. Okay, it got reconnected. Now you can see. Okay. Now if I try to rotate my app, so using logs, you can see how the like how this activity got destroyed when I like tried to rotate my app. So all the data I had on my app got lost. So as a developer, you can like how you can like if you have like click this cupcakes few number of times, so it have probably have changed the desserts sold and the total revenue. So okay, now if you like try to like change the configuration of your like app, so it will remove that data because their activity the activity which was like called the UI state of the app got killed when you change the configuration changes not only like include like changing the rotating the screen. It could be like presence of a physical keyboard or anything else on a device. So 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 to avoid that, we use again the classic concept of like mutable states and using this var basically using the revenue, basically using the remembrance mutable state of using remember class and basically using this mutable state of function, we can actually restore the, as you have seen, I've defined this these over here. I've defined I've defined var revenue and desert sold mutable state properties, and I'm using them over here for the current price and description. Okay, so using this app, you can see how the like life cycle of an Android app is. Okay, So here we are done with the life cycle activity and the life cycle section. Now we'll move on to the another app, which is an unscramble app. So using this app, we'll see the architecture and like what is a view model and also the state in Compose. So to show you the app, how this like app looks like when we build it, I will like try to share my screen. Just give me a few seconds. I'll show you project settings. So launched connect project PC. See if it works. Just let's try to connect. Okay, so now you'll be seeing my basically device. So this is how this unscramble app looks like on a device. So this is how this app looks like on the device. So basically, how we'll be studying app architecture and view model and state through this app. So we have like multiple sections in this app. We have a submit button, we have a skip button, which is like you can say skipping the. We have basically 10 scramble words, and we are like you have to guess a scramble word. So if you try to judge this one, let me like put some wrong some problem with my basically it's some problem with the share. It won't show you the text. So okay, so when I try to put some text and click on submit, so it will like agree, like it will give me like yeah, your score will get added. So how we are basically managing the data layer and the UI layer for this app, we'll learn through like we'll learn by making this app. Okay, so let's get back to Android Studio. Let's set up our app first. So I'll just remove this. Okay, let's get back to our app. Let's get back to Android Studio, and we'll close this app. We don't need it anymore. It's the Desert Clicker app project. Okay, great. We'll open the Unscramble app, and let's go to the section of the Unscramble app. Okay, so you can see here, this is how this app like this is how this app will look. You can see all the states of this app. When your score will be 100, so you can click on play again or exit. Okay, basically we're making a game. Okay, so there will be a link in chat which will be like HTTP git link for this for the starter code. You can check out the starter main branch. Let's start with an overview of the app. So of okay, so okay, we'll start with the overview of the app. Oh, so we'll open the data file, words data file. You'll see the words over there. There will be a number of words. We'll be also have two variables which has like max number of words and also the score which will give for correct answer. Okay. Next, we'll be also having, if you go to main activity.kt, we'll be having a composable game screen, which will be having a basic set content. And on the game screen.kt, we'll be having our basically other composable UI functions, which will be using the app. On the game status app, we have the status of the app defined over there. Okay, you can see the game status composable defined over there. Okay, on the game layout composable, we'll be having this layout, which will be in a card. We'll be having unscrambled. We'll be basically having an unscrambled world. We have a like a plain text. We have you can say we have a text box over here. You can see we have an outline text box, or you can say a text field. Okay, and we have a lot of other sections in the starter code. Okay, so you can see we have like basically two types of text fields. We have outlined and a normal text field. Here we are using a text field. Okay, so let's continue. And yeah, this is how our game screen looks like. It has all the layouts and the components using like we have defined a column and we have a text. Then we have a layout called composable function called here. We have a column which again has a button. We have two buttons you can see. We have a submit button and skip button. So this is how these two buttons are defined. Okay. Now, this part is for the later section. We'll be having a dialogue which appears after, after like winning the game or get scoring the 100 points. Okay, let's start with app architecture. Now, what is app architecture? Why like what is the importance of app architecture? Okay, so like when like being like when you develop more complex apps, you'll be having data coming from an API or some API calls or something. Okay, so at that time there will be like you'll like feel the need of separating your UI, basically all the compose functions, all the data logic and every other API calls and stuff on the other part, like on the other folder of an app. You'll feel the like importance of separating the basically various folders, or you can say the various folders which hold, like see here we have a UI folder like provides the UI for that. We have a data folder which like separates the data logic of the app. Okay, so developing like more complex apps will feel the like need of the basically an app architecture. So there are number of number of app architectures like MVC. We have MVVC, which like full form is model, view, and controller. So okay, so here if we like try to define this our app, so we have data resource, data folder, which is a model. We have a UI folder. We have a simple main activity class which like calls this single page app. Having like if you'll have a like multi-page app, I'll show you in the like later in the session. We have a like a multi-page app in navigation. So there in the app to manage UI, so manage UI and the data and also the logic of your code, you need like multiple layers to like like communicate properly, and like you have to to build a proper app, you need that sort of thing. So the recommended Android app architecture is something like this. We have a UI layer, we have a domain layer, and we have a data layer over here. Okay. So now here comes the concept of view model. What does this view model does? Okay. So basically using this view model, we can expose the states of the UI elements. Now you have seen the app. There are multiple states in that app. Basically, when we are like we are typing we're guessing the word and we're clicking on the submit button. So basically we are calling state. What will be the state of the app when we like try to call the yeah, basically we are other parameters like score and the chip over there which was like updating for each question. So our other parameters depend on the condition that the user has provided the correct the word or not. So that's how this view model helps us to pass the state, or like to pass the state to the other UI components. Okay, so you can see mixing this UI elements and the UI state, we have a proper UI of our app. I hope we have like we like there is like a proper walkthrough. You had a proper walkthrough of the app. Okay. Now let's add a view model to our app. So basically you can go to build.gradle of your app. You can go to this Gradle script section. You can open build.gradle. Basically this is a library which we are using, which is a view model lifecycle view model compose. You can actually download this, like actually put this in a build.gradle. I'll show you. And if I like try to remove this, Okay, then you see we have a sync now button over there. You can click sync now, and you can resync your Gradle. Gradle is basically a package man. You can say a package manager, or you can say a resource. You can say a build manager of your app. So it will build this. I'll click sync now. So it will basically build your app, like whatever library your app needs. It will get that library for you. Okay. So now we'll be defining this UI package. We'll be like creating a class called GameView model. I'll show you how the class looks. So we'll go to the UI section. We have a GameView model class where we'll be having all those, imports, and we'll having a GameView model over here. Let me show you here. So we'll be like creating a GameView model class. Then we'll be creating a data class game UI state. So okay, let's go to this game UI state. This is a data class. So now I already explained what's the difference between a normal class and the data class. You can actually reference the data of this data class as we can understand by the name. You can reference the data of this class at any point, like any point of time, and like anywhere from your code. So for referencing the current scrambled word or for referencing the score, we are using this basically game UI state class, which you can call and you can update the UI through. We can update the UI using. Okay. Now we have something. We have concept of state flow. So as you have seen, mutable state as a like function using remember. In this concept of view model and like the passing UI state to like to all the parts of the app, they have concept of state flow. So what this state flow does is we can actually get, or you can say, you can get the new states, or you can say the emit the current and the new state of a particular composable object, and you can get the actually the state of the uh, basically of the particular element of the compose. So if I define this mutable state flow over the game UI state class, so what we get is we get like a proper control. It can take a proper control of all the variables defined on this game UI state. We can change the value of these variables from anywhere, like any point of our app, and we can update the UI according to it is. We'll move on. We'll come back to that to later actually. Okay. So here's another example how this basically app view for view model. And okay, so now as you can see, we are actually like using some. Okay, let me go back. Game view model. So in game view model, you can see we are, as I told you, we are using we are using this private UI, basically a UI state, UI state variable, which is using mutable state flow of game UI state. So basically, this is the basically an object created for this game UI state class through which we can access all the elements. Okay. Now we are also defining a state flow of game UI state. So basically, this is the proper variable which is actually using the states of like you can use it for the states of all the variables defined in the game UI state. Okay. Now we'll have more like for the random word to change it later. We'll have late initializer over this current word. Okay. Okay. Now we create some number of functions. Let's go and see what are those functions are. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have multiple like UI states, or you can say functions to perform in our app. We need to shuffle the words. We need to also reset the game at the last. We also need to uh, check check user guess and all the other functions. So how we are defining all these other functions? So basically, for shuffling the current card, we are basically creating a variable temp word current word which on which we are like calling the character array using this using the data class, and basically we are calling dot shuffle, a function which we got from a library. Okay. It's like okay, so using that dot shuffle function, you can see if our current word is equal, like if the new word is equal to the current word, so we are as actually performing shuffling over the word. We are resetting this game, okay, like clearing all the user words. We are updating user guess accordingly. Okay. So there are multiple elements in this app. Okay, now we'll move on. We'll see how we are actually passing the data and how we are actually architecturing our app. Okay, so so as you have seen, we have uh, as I told you already, we have a unidirectional flow of data. So basically, the data layer of the app is passing the data. View model using the state flow and UI state object is actually accessing that data, and it is providing that data to UI elements which are updating, which are getting updated accordingly. Okay, according to this UI layer and the models. Okay, so now we'll see how we are passing the data. So let's see how we are passing this data. So we have passed the data. Okay, so we have a game screen, game screen composable over here in the game view model. So let me show you where is that game view model. We have a game screen composable. Wait, the game screen function. Okay, so now you see we have this game screen.kt. This is the place. This is the place where where we have defined all the elements. If I try to show you the preview, so this is where we are actually calling all those functions of the game view model we have made earlier. So game screen is a composable column, text, and the layout of our app. So basically what we are doing is using the view model and UI state, we are passing the UI state to the game screen KT, and game screen is updating itself like on the basis of the changes in the UI. So see, we have defined it the game UI state. We are defining a game UI state using this game view model UI state collect as state. Collect as state is basically a function which collects the basically the UI. Now, what you are like you are seeing what I'm saying again and again, what a UI is. So basically, UI is nothing. It's just all these, the value of the UI. So basically, all these variables have certain values. There's a scrambled word which is none for now. We have a guess word wrong boolean. We have score. We have current word. And is the game over? So basically, using this game UI state. So you already seen the layout. This game layout defines actually this part of the app. Okay. Okay, now we are actually building the UI. I'll show you the part where we are passing the UI actually. Okay, so we are actually using number of functions over here, number of parameters, not functions. So we are actually using this on keyboard done and on value change to, you can see we have on keyboard done, on user guess changed, and multiple parameters in this game layout passed to actually get the value and get the state of the user. So okay, so I hope you have like seen the app, seen how this like app is working, and also some of the important elements of this app. I'll explain you again, like some like how we are passing the data. So okay, I will show you how we are passing this. Wait, yeah, okay. We have a game layout section. Now you can see this important game layout section on this. Okay, so we have a composable game layout which has on keyboard done, and on user guess. So we are using this to actually, uh, to get the state of the keyboard and the guess, whatever the user has guessed as the value, and we are passing that value over like we're passing this game layout, and actually we have a user guess as this game view model user guess. And on keyboard done, we have check user. If the user is guessing it wrong, so we have a function is guessed wrong in the game UI state, which is a boolean type function. Okay, so this is how actually we are defining number of basically UI states, and how the UI is changing, or like over all those passes. Okay, now we can verify guess of the user. We have check user guess method in the game view model. We have check user guess, where we have a function which is checking the user guess. So we are, if user guess equals to the current word, so we are actually telling the UI to actually increase the score. You can see how we are telling the UI to increase the score. We are actually like UI state dot value is the of the basic parameter. We are changing the score to plus score increase. So this is how we are changing the score. Also, we have resetting the user guess. So basically whatever the user has basically whatever, like one guess is over, so after for the another guess, we are resetting the uh, guess here. So update user guess, a function which updates the user guess again to, basically it changes the text box again to, null. And UI state, we are notifying all the UI objects depending on this to, like, they copy the current state, which is guessed word wrong. If the word is like wrong, so we are basically uh, notifying the variable is guessed word wrong as true, so that all the UI states which like depend on it get notified ki this, like, the user has guessed the wrong word, and we don't need to change on this wrong word. Or like the UI state which has to change, like the chip over there, which was one out of 10 showing, now it has to show 2 out of 10. So you can see how this we are passing this, UI basically states throughout the app. Okay, okay. So I hope you have got it. You can go through this document, and you can see how we are actually making this app. Okay. We can also update score and the word count accordingly on basis of the change of the UI. Now, I told you how we are like handling UI for the app. Now, for handling the last round, as you have seen, if you like won't handle the last round, so like pressing submit button or skipping button again and again, we can actually go to a condition like called UI overflow. So basically, you can see we have 15 out of 10 over there, which is like not possible for our app. So what we will do is in basically game view model class, we have also update game state function, which is like user words, which is giving, like, we have a maximum words. You can see in the data class we already have defined the maximum word limit to 10. So actually we are ensuring using this if and else call, the the user should not exceed to like more like user should not get more than 10 scramble words for a game, for a game session. So you can see how we are defining this UI state dot update. So if the user has the maximum number of words, so basically we are changing the UI state. So what we are doing is we are copying the UI state, and we are setting all those guessed word wrong score and the game over property true. If we are changing this game over property to true, we are actually also calling this dialog over there. So as you can see, we have, as we have like used many apps which has multiple sort of dialogues. We have info dialog, we have error dialog, or we have some other sort of a dialogue. So here we also are making a dialogue which gets, which gets active when this is game over becomes true. So so now, as you have seen, how we have defined this dialog. This is the layout of the final score dialog. Okay. this is how it looks like. We have a function called on play again. So if you click on that function on play again, so all the UI states or all the activity of the app will get like nullified. It will restart the game by clicking on play again button. Okay, so this is how our like this was how our app like looked like. Okay, now I already told you in the section of activity that changing the device rotation or like opening a keyboard affects our app. Basically, changing the configuration of our app affects our app, like affects our UI, or you can say the UI state, or you can say the activity of our app. So using this concept of view model, state flow, and UI state, so we can using these concepts we can easily avoid the configuration changes of our app. Now if you try to rotate, so even the data, like if this SOEN is user as typed as nose, so if you try to like to guess it, and even if you change the layout of your screen, you can see the data pertains. So how this is possible is using this view model and state concepts, which we like use with basically, which like now you can understand the importance of like activity of an Android app. So this is how we like, basically wrap up this architecture section of our app. Okay, so it's like we have another app which is a cupcake app. I can like we can do a quick go through of this app, like how we are basically navigating to a different user sections. Let me open the app. I'll close this app. And okay, for the walkthrough of the app, so basically most of the apps we have seen until now doesn't have like multiple screens, had only one screen, one main home screen. This app has multiple screens. So you can see we have a cupcake screen on which we have like multiple options of one cupcake, six cupcake, 12 cupcakes, and we have a flavor choosing screen on which you can choose your flavor, and we have a date pick screen you can on which you can actually pick up the date and on what we want for on what you want cupcake for. And we have this order summary screen, so where we get your order summary. We also have the send order to another app. Basically you can share your order with someone using this send order to another app. Let's get a quick like over like go through of this app, how we are actually like using doing the navigation uh, and Android using Jetpack Compose. Okay, so we'll be using something called Nav Host, or you can say Nav Host controller of basically Jetpack Compose, which like provides us like to provide navigation between multiple screens without like like without. We can also use like the other concepts told earlier using view model to like retain the UI state, like navigating to other pages and retaining the UI state. So let's see. So to like for the states of our app, I'll let okay, code is already there. So let me show you the code only. I'll go to the cupcake screen. We have you can see we have a data layer separated over here, which has some data source over here. We have a data source, we have a list of flavors, we have list of like quantity options. We also have order UI state. You have seen game UI state earlier, which we're using the view in view model to get the UI current UI state. We have UI defined, we have components, we have theme defined for our app. We have other screens, such as I already showed you. We had an start order screen, which was something like I'll show you again. Yeah, which was something like this, and we have select option screen. Okay, now as you can see, the layout of this both of these choose flavor and this choose pickup date screen is quite similar. So we had these two screens, and again we also had a summary screen. So all these like basic code, starter code, like gives you all these screens pre-made. Okay, you just need to learn and add like navigation to it. Okay, so you can see we have this order screen defined. So we were discussing nav host. Okay, let's go back to nav host. What is nav host? Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to our cupcake screen. I have defined some enum. Enum means enumerated objects. We are defining a class called cupcake screen, which has some enumerated objects that start, flavor, pickup, and summary. As you can see by name, start defines start screen, flavor defines flavor screen, and pickup defines the pickup screen, which has some dates, and pickup defined over there. And summary, we have the summary. It's defined the summary screen. So what we are doing is in our composable cupcake app, we are defining a nav controller as a parameter, which extends class nav host controller, and we have a function over there which remembers the remember nav controller. Basically, it remembers the navigation whatever we are doing in our app. Okay. Also, we have a scaffold which has a property of like it is calling an inner padding lambda. Basically scaffold has a has is calling an inner padding lambda function, and there we have a UI state. As you have seen earlier, we collect the UI using this dot collect as state function, like which comes from the view model class itself. So okay, now we have this nav host. Okay, so this nav host is basically a a part of a composable function which we can use to navigate to different sections of an app. So using this nav host, we it takes some of the parameters like nav controller, start destination. You can define the first like page that appears when you like open your app, and we have other modifiers. Okay, so okay, now in this nav host, this takes a nav graph builder. So basically, we define a composable. In this composable, we define a route to our app, and we define a start order screen. Start order screen, you can see it's a function, basically a composable function we are calling. Uh, Composable function we are calling like from another file, and it has some other parameters which it used to update its UI, which is using the which is actually redirecting to the flavor screen. We have this pickup screen composable, which has this pickup. I already told you what this enum we have defined, basically to differentially identify all the screens. And we have this again. We have this summary composable, which is calling the order summary screen. Okay, so you have seen how we are actually like using this nav host and nav controller, and also the nav graph builder. We have to actually, I'll show you how this app looks on after the build. I'll open the app and I'll share my screen. I'll show you how this app looks. So I'll just, okay. Okay. So you can see the preview on my phone, and we'll open this cupcake app. Okay, it's a bit laggy here. Okay. So now you can see we are on the cupcake app. So this is the main screen. Okay. Now, like we have provided all those navigation components. Now, if we click on the one cupcake, now our screen changes to the choose the flavor section. Now we'll click the flavor and we'll do next. So you can see we actually went to the like went to the pickup date section. We can choose a date for the cupcake, and we can go and we can see we have generated an order summary over there. You can even send this order. You can copy it. You can send it over multiple apps. Okay, so this is how this app looks like on build. So okay, now how we are making that share order thing possible. So for that, we are actually using something called intent in Android. So what does intent mean? Intent, basically you can say we are actually putting something extra, or you can say intent. You can understand if you like look for the definition, like proper definition for this intent. So wait, I'll show you. Uh, wait, respond. Okay. Yeah. So what does this intent mean? Basically, intents you can understand as something we use to specify multiple, basically, and basically I'll show you. If I remove this action send, I show you other parameters of this intent. So intent, you can say, like in general you can say intention. So we have intention to send, we have intention to like for some sort of a action, we have intention to change airplane mode. So using the multiple intents in Android, you can do like multiple tasks from your app. Okay, so here we are actually using an intent called action send to send the text over our. Basically we are putting the extra text as the subject and the summary for the for our app. Okay, and we are also calling context or start activity to start the basically the intent activity when pressing the button. Okay, I hope you have understand the use of this nav host, and I'll also, yeah. So I guess you have understand this functioning of the nav host, how we are using it. So okay, this is how we, end our Android Study Jams session 2. We have covered architecture, we have covered life cycle, we have seen theming, we have seen navigation. Now actually we can build a new, like, proper Android app. If you have any idea, you can build a proper Android app. You can also visit, as I showed you earlier, you can visit uh, g.co android.basics, and you can actually there are a lot of practice sections where you can actually practice making apps, making, like, I'm going to practice Jetpack Compose. So going to that Jetpack Compose section, I can actually uh, make a project or a practice app. So I encourage you to, like, check out this resource that like the Google community provides you, and make beautiful apps. So this is how I want to end this is how we are end our session. For the next session, we'll be like covering how, like, getting the data from the internet, and also, like, we'll see the work manager in Android. So I hope you have enjoyed the session. I know the session become a little bit monotonous because of the hands-on we did, or the parts we tried to understood. So yeah, I'll end this session on this note. Okay, see you in the session 3 of Android Study Chats. Bye.